Kiya Podcast would like to acknowledge that this episode was recorded on Whadjuk land of the Noongar people. We recognise our First Nations people as the traditional custodians of the land, and we pay our respects to the elders past, present and future. Kiya Wanju, hello and welcome to the Kiya Podcast Show. As always, I'm your host Izzy, and today, obviously, the name of this show is Kiya. Kiya in our language means hello. It also means yes. So on this show, we say hello to amazing people, and I am very honoured to not only have an amazing person in yourself on the show, but also being able to engage in this sort of level of conversation. I think that's something that's not really talked about these days, and I think that's really awesome to have you in. I like to start off with giving people flowers. So I don't know if you've seen a couple episodes, but we always start off with giving people flowers. So today I am joined by not only one of the first Indigenous First Nations contestants in Australia's Next Top Model in 2008, but she's also an entrepreneur, a business owner, creating pathways both in fashion, in design, in business, in travel, as we just spoke. There's been so many aspects of your career that you ventured into, and you're an inspiration and a huge leader and advocate for not only women's business, women in fashion, but also Indigenous people of all. And I speak that from a young point of view to give you your flowers. So please welcome Shannon McGuire to the Kiya Show.
Thank you.
How are you?
Okay. I'm good. Feeling
How was
really
that?
good.
How was that intro? First of all, was it good?
Oh, you made me sound deadly.
What do you mean, made you sound deadly? You did the work.
I feel deadly now.
You did the work. I just talked. That's all I did. No, how are you? What's been going on?
Oh, like I like to say there's nothing, to report on usually, like means that, life's going pretty well. So nothing like major or new to report on, I guess. Like life's going pretty good. But yeah, like same as usual, just charging through, doing the best I can day to day, like working in my career with my family and continuing to like do the work that I've been, so passionate about over like the last, 15, 20 years, which I hate saying. It shows how old I am when I say I've been doing something for 20 years.
Out of X number of years.
X number of years.
No, it's wonderful. And so let's dive straight into it. The work that you do, and it is amazing work. And we spoke a little bit before the camera started rolling how that's ventured into other avenues and other aspects of the work that you probably didn't look at the start. When you got into the industry, or was you always wanted to go into the fashion industry, or was that something that sparked at some point in your life?
Yeah, look, to be honest, like when I was young, like I wanted to play sport. I loved basketball. I loved hockey. I was a real tomboy, and that's where I wanted to go. And look, I didn't have the talent. I didn't, I guess, sort of have the discipline probably either for it. I watched my family go into sport. On my mum's side of the family, they're all Olympians. They've got gold medals playing hockey in the Olympics and bronze medals, and like extremely talented and very high achievers. And I guess, no, I didn't see myself going into the fashion industry. I remember being a young person and people going, "Oh, you should be a model," and for me that was shame, like I didn't like that they said that. I didn't like the attention of being told that I was pretty, or that I was tall and skinny. I felt awkward, and I didn't see myself as someone that could be in a magazine. I loved magazines and I loved fashion and looking at it and sort of like the whole idea of it, but I didn't ever see myself as being able to be a part of it. But it was lucky for me. I went. I watched America's Next Top Model, on Foxtel. Foxtel was the thing back when when I was young. And
was it on Fox 8? Was it
Fox 8? Yeah. And was completely obsessed with this show. And I remember my housemates and my friends at that time were like, "Oh, you should do it. If it comes to Australia, you should do it." And like I was reading a magazine, one of my favourite magazines one day, and it had an ad in it for the show. And I like quietly just showed one of my girlfriends. I was like, and she was like, "You're doing it. You are doing this." And so we put together like a little video and everything, like gammon little like audition for myself. And I got a letter back, and we all I got given like a red code, and I didn't know what that meant. Anyway, they invited us to this casting, and back in the day, like model castings were huge cattle calls of people.
Yeah.
So they'd come to Perth, and there were a couple of hundred people in this room, and all white girls. I was like. I'm not going. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to be picked. Among all of this, and I could hear all the girls talking like, "Oh, I got a blue code. Oh, I got a white code." And I'm like, "Well, no one's got a red code. That must mean like I'm out."
Yeah. Red means bad.
Red means bad.
Red means bad.
Yeah. And I walked in and just did the audition. They seemed to like me, but it was so casual that
How did the audition sort of go? Like from what you can remember, like what did you kind of have to do? Was there any interview process?
Yeah, there was a panel of judges. They I walked in, they asked me a few questions like where I was from, and they were very interested in the fact that I was Aboriginal, and I was very obviously the only Aboriginal girl in the room. I didn't see that as an advantage at all, because when has it ever been an advantage?
Right.
And then they asked me to do a catwalk, and I literally just mimicked the fashion channel on Foxtel to the best of my ability, which was actually terrible when I look back on that audition.
Is there any footage of that? Can we get the footage of that?
I'm going to pretend that you can't.
You're going to
but I reckon you could dig it up somewhere. And look, and then I made it through, and they asked me to go to Sydney and to live in the mansion and to go through that. Look, I took that day by day. It was just an opportunity at that point. It wasn't something that I went in with a strategy to win, or I didn't know anything about fashion. I was in that house. The other girls that were there, they knew what they were talking about. They knew who all the Australian fashion designers were. They already knew how to walk. They'd already been in the industry. They knew how to stand in front of a camera. My first photo shoot was literally the first photo shoot on Top Model.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really
cool. And it's still my favourite picture to this day, because it completely changed the way that I saw myself. And I remember walking into that room in our first judging panel during the show after that shoot, and one of the judges said to me, Shannon, you are sexy.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what? What? I awkward, a bit nerdy, don't really know what's going on, quite clumsy as well. I didn't see myself as that. But it did. It changed the perspective of myself straight away. And I think that's where I found my confidence was, isn't that I was trying to be sexy. It was just that the world saw me so differently than I saw myself, and the world is so much bigger than just my little community, and playing basketball with my cousins and my friends and all of that. There's a challenge out there that I needed to be a part of, and that's what sort of moved me through that competition and helped me make the choices that I did after that in taking on a career in the fashion industry, moving to Sydney, living there on my own, and travelling the world, and seeing new places and exploring those industries as well, because they're completely different markets. And what I realised throughout that time was that in Australia, they didn't see me as versatile. They didn't see me as a fashion model, but the entire world.
Oh yeah,
actually did.
It's always funny how that works. It's like even with the music industry and stuff, you see how our artists struggle to progress over here, and then they go overseas and they're treated like absolute superstars.
Yeah,
it's crazy how it works, and it's awesome to hear that it's in the fashion. Well, it's not awesome, but it's comforting to hear that it's also happening in the fashion world as well, because we kind of all kind of have this similar struggle. What's wrong with our country?
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with our country or our industry. I don't want to go into that. But to me, that one of the biggest things was that I wasn't versatile. They wanted the girl next door. They wanted that beach babe. and I didn't fit that category here. To them, that's what was Australian, and that's what fitted the Australian market. But when I started moving around the world, people they couldn't figure out where I was from.
Yeah.
You know, so like I looked like I could have been European or Spanish or South American or, you know, from anywhere. So that gave me versatility. That meant that I could move into so many different markets and actually fit.
Yeah.
And still be different, like, and have my own flavour and my own look. So so that changed a lot for me over the years. But I guess like the biggest thing for me was when I did Miss Universe, like a few years later. So being in the fashion industry, I was a model. I didn't have to say anything. Just stand there and look pretty, walk and look pretty.
They know.
You know, like that was fine. But I went on to do like Miss Universe, and I went in really naively. Again, just another opportunity that I took, you know, because somebody asked me. I went, yeah, why not? And I realised that I needed a voice, and I didn't have a voice. I hadn't figured out who I actually was and what I actually stood for and what I could stand for, like as an Aboriginal woman, like on a platform like that. So I was one of only 2 women that were in that competition that year and that made it to like the national finals. So when they had me in front of like the judging panel and they were asking me about who I was and what was important to me, I went, you know what, I don't.
Yeah, I really thought about it like that.
Actually thought about it. And I had it right there. Like I should have been saying, I'm an Aboriginal woman. There's nobody else here. Where's our representation? But it wasn't until I walked away and like in hindsight, I went, man, you know what? I could have won that if I turned around and I spoke to them about like me and my people, like where I'm from, who I was, and how that was a real representation of Australia
like
and
that
what
stuff that's in here.
What could have could have been shown like on an international stage.
It's like an argument when you walk away from an argument and then you're like I should have said this, I should have said that. Oh, that would have been good. Like damn. Like,
every time, every single time.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, and from there, like I guess I've just kept pushing.
Yeah.
You know. So.
Yeah, that's wonderful to hear. And I heard, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard that there was someone in the house that never met an Indigenous person before. Yeah. And then you were kind of their cultural advisor. you were their ambassador. So, like, and you guys ended up becoming friends after that. You was able to correct a lot of narratives that this person kind of, I would say naively, you know, didn't really have. Is it so? Is that a true yarn or is that?
Yeah. Well, actually, like there was a couple of girls in the house, a few actually, that had never met an Aboriginal person before. Had actually said to me, "We've seen Aboriginal people, but like we don't talk to them, or you know, we see them at the shops, or you know, like whatever." And actually, like she said, she's I'm scared of them, scared of Aboriginal people, and I was like
why?
Yeah, I don't understand. Like I don't understand. They're like you know, and it's that same old, you know, like that quiet sort of racism where you know, like but you're.
Oh, you're one of the good ones.
You're one of the good ones. You're different, sort of thing. And you know, we just, you know, like rather than be, and we get really good at this as Aboriginal people as well. We get really good at sort of having those conversations and being able to articulate ourselves in a way that makes the other person feel comfortable. So I sat and I had conversations and I said, well, you know, like, yes, I'm an Aboriginal person, you know, like this is how I grew up. Those people that you're saying that you can't talk to or that you're afraid of, they're actually no different from me. They're no different from my family. That idea that you have of being afraid of them is actually inside of you. Like it's not actually a part of them. Yeah. So I hope that like I changed some minds along the way. And one of the girls in particular who remains one of my really good friends today, she actually contacted me like during the vote, you know, with the voice and everything, and she said to me, she said, well, what do you want? What do you want? You know, and she asked me where my position was and basically said to me, well, she did say to me, she's like, whatever you want, that's what I'm voting for.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that because she didn't stand there and have an opinion or an idea.
Mm-hmm.
She literally came to an Aboriginal person that she knew, loved and respected and asked me what I wanted and went that way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like it's all part of life, isn't it? Like as an Aboriginal person, we meet people, we have conversations. In our day-to-day life, we're forever explaining and you know,
we're the oldest teachers in the world, so it's only I think it's only natural that when we do come across, and you know, as you know, our culture is all about sharing. So when we come across those types of opportunities where we can not only share our culture but also teach it from a caring point of view, like you know, someone like yourself who as I can clearly hear and see now is such a well thought out person and careful when it comes to that, is that caring sort of teaching. Like it's not that teaching as a it's not correcting, it's kind of that nurturing teaching, and you know, that's where I think that's where our culture really thrives, and that's where our people thrive, and that's how we break down those barriers, is having those tough conversations but from a place of love. So your friend being able to come to you and confine in you in someone that's, all right, this person's going to give me some great point of views that I'm going to learn off. I'm going to learn off you and ask you about the voice and how I can properly better this country. I think that's something that's so beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. And look, like, I met her 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So I would hope that now that we've still got a friendship, that she, you know, would have some understanding of who I am and where I'm from, what's important.
Like,
to
you
me,
shouldn't call you on a bad day. like who the fuck is this?
Well, I've got that side to me too. Yeah. But I try to be patient and kind.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but like we're filming and recording all of this, so I'm a good person. Yeah, it's amazing the opportunity, like, for conversations, and like, I find that the work that I do, that I'm in as well, and like, and you would know this too, like being in like the creative industries, you know, like the platform that you like, and the segue that you get, like through creativity and through music or fashion or art, that you get to start conversations with people, like, and I think that's what's really cool, like, about our culture as well, is anything recorded about our culture is all through our artwork and all through our stories and all through our creativity, and you know, so like it sort of comes naturally to us mob. Guess I'm one of those lucky people now, like you are, you know, we get to take that creativity and we get to make it our jobs.
Yep. I think there is there's definitely an argument for that word lucky. Because it's like a blessing and a curse.
And a curse.
Yeah, definitely. So before we go any further, I'm going to do a little bit of a segue. So obviously we've got to give a shout out to our sponsors, Totem Clothing, and the work you guys do. So being our clothing brand, thank you for your sponsor. If you guys want any Totem Clothing, make sure you go to their website. The link will be below. And check them out. They're doing amazing work, who have blown up in the last year. The last 6 months has been definitely crazy for them. So shout out to Clothing. You can get Totem. You can get all your clothing, not only from the Kiya social media, but also Totem as well. When we talk about, you know, like you just touched on then with talking to creatives and that, isn't it interesting the way creative brains work? Like, you can kind of gauge if, when you're talking with someone creative, you're like, and you get those sort of creative juices flowing, and you're kind of, you know, going off on it. You can go to places that, you know, you never really thought of before. Like, especially I found with talking to a lot of photographers, like, the way their brain works, I just have wonders. I don't know how or what goes through their, or how much goes through their head all at once. But it's awesome when you get that sort of connection going, and I feel that in this podcast now. Like, I can feel that creative energy going, so I know you're gonna like walk away with it from this and be like, I'm ready to go. But that's what we do here on the Kiya Podcast. When we talk about, you know, being first and being First Nations, not only being First Nations, but when we talk about being first, you like to be first, don't you? When I look in a lot of your resume, you was the first First Nations person, not only as we just spoke about on Australia's Next Top Model for the inaugural season, but you was also the First First Nations model signed to Chick Agency.
Chic Management.
Chick Management.
Yeah.
And then when you see like the track of, you've got of people that have come through and have made huge names for themselves. Samantha Harris being one of them. And you've kind of set that precedent. How does that sort of feel in, going into that sort of aspect of your life? What was kind of your intentions there?
Yeah. I had no intentions of being the first or building a pathway or I was selfish and it was all about me at that point. I was young. I didn't care about anybody else. I was worried about myself. I'll tell you. So
that's why we have this conversation now rather than
So like when I was with Chic Management, who were an amazing agency, and the woman running it at that time, like she had real foresight in wanting to work with Aboriginal women. She wanted Aboriginal models. So she had me along there. Like what it was if the girl that won Top Model was supposed to be the one that got the contract with Chic.
Yep.
But she took me anyway, like as I was second runner up. Like damn, those girls beat me still.
Yeah.
Still but dirty, I'm still dirty. like you said, I like to be first. And she still took me anyway. And not long after, that's when Sam came along. And I remember like the agent ringing me and say, look, we've got this young Aboriginal girl that's coming into the agency. We want her to feel comfortable. Would you mind coming in to say hi or whatever? And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, then like I'll come in. And I saw Sam walk in and I went, fuck. There goes all my work. There goes all my work. So if I was going to play the Aboriginal model narrative, like that just went completely out the window. I was like, this bitch has just walked in here and just taken all my work. Oh. There goes my money. And she was gorgeous and amazingly tall and, and so shy and no idea about what she was walking into or I don't think she realised the potential that she had. Like she was literally there. It was an opportunity. She had her mum by her side. Like they were literally, it was a dream of hers. She was just there for the journey sort of thing. And Chic took her on and loved her and, helped her through the process. But Sam's look was always, those caterpillar eyes and those bee-stung lips and the little button nose and this, she was just built for fashion. Like she was born for it. So while I was, secretly like a little bit like, damn it, like I couldn't wait to see that journey there and to watch her see her at castings and and to grow in the industry was really amazing. Like I guess as a young person I was still trying to make it myself, so I was still doing the hard yards just like she was, but to have like a sister, even though we weren't close or anything, but just to see another sister in the room was encouraging, and our careers went completely separate ways, like we're two really different types of people like within the industry, to do two different types of models. Our work, our resumes are really, really different. It was still encouraging. And Sam even now, seeing her career all these years later and how that's changed and evolved over time. And she's an ambassador now. And that's where you want to get to, like, as a model. You don't want to be, like, walking every single show and you don't want to be, running, like, through castings and everything like that. You want to get to a Sam Harris status where you are an ambassador for different labels, like, across the globe. And she, to see her do that now is amazing. There's others like, like a Charlie Fraser who I look at and I go, that should have been my career. Like, I should have been a Charlie. She's fantastic and amazing and everything. And she, you know, the one thing that I really love about Charlie is that she's never had to push the narrative of like being an Indigenous person or an Indigenous model. Mm-hmm. She is a model by her own right. She works in mainstream industry. She doesn't have to walk, you know, she does, but she doesn't have to walk every Indigenous show, work for every Indigenous label.
Right.
She's out there, on international status, like on par with, you know, other supermodels of the world. And, you know, that's where we should be, you know, like it's not like, you know, like we get this Indigenous model, you know, like Indigenous model Shannon McGuire, you know, like I'm proud of that and I'll stand with that. But at the same time, like I didn't always want to be that. I wanted to be recognised as someone with the skills and the ability to work for anyone and anywhere.
Yep. Exactly.
And I'll give that like to my brother as well, Nathan. Like Nathan McGuire is the most booked model in all of Australia. Not just male model, not Indigenous model, but the most booked model in Australia. And I don't even think he's that good looking.
You need to pull out some archives. Just be like, look, before you book him, just you need to see the archives.
And I think, like, you know what, like I always say it to people, you know what, like they're like, how well is your brother doing? I'm he's killing it. And the thing is, you know, like he's good looking, he's a great person, he, you know, he's humble, he knows where he's from, you know, he takes every opportunity to talk about his culture and his people and what got him to where he is and why he works as hard as he does. So like I have to mention his name and the work that he's doing across the industry as well, and with his company Mob in Fashion as well. They are doing amazing things working with creatives from all over the fashion industry. So it's not just about being a model. You know, like I started as a model, but like I've moved through the industry and worked. I've done some styling, I've done some directing, some producing, you know. Nathan and his partner Mob in Fashion, they're literally doing that, you know. They do huge gigs, you know. They've worked for GQ magazine. They've, you know, they run events at Melbourne Fashion Festival, and they're creating platforms for Indigenous creatives, like all through the industry. So and that's what I say to when I'm out there and I'm talking to people about the industry. Like it's like there's an entire industry there. You don't need to be just one thing. Like I started in the industry based on like an opportunity, like that I just said yes to. You know, my friends pushed me into top model. I said yes to Miss Universe, like because another friend asked me to do it as well. So like I did it. And then everything that's come after that has been opportunities where people have gone, I want to work with you. What can we do? And I've just gone, yes. You know, you got to say no to things along the way as well. Otherwise you find yourself in trouble. But the opportunities are there. And now I look at the Australian fashion industry and the platforms that they're allowing for Indigenous creatives to like work throughout that industry is actually amazing. And I wish that 20 years ago when I started, those opportunities were there. They weren't, unfortunately, and it's taken some time, but like the industry's there now. So when I talk to young people about, you know, what do you want to do? What do you want to do in fashion? They go, I want to be a model. Well, what else do you want to do? Because you can be behind a camera, in front of a camera, around a camera.
Learn the business.
You can learn the entire business. And it's all there for you. The industry's hungry for you. They want you, you know, because we see the world from a different lens, from a different perspective, you know, like so, and the industry wants to see that. So get in there and you know, like, and just say yes. Yep,
and it's like we're so driven. All you got to do is start. Once you start going, like, you like you said, you say yes to things. That's kind of the key of it all, is just saying yes, taking that leap of faith and just, you know, having a go. If you mess it up, oh well, you know what not to do next time. If you do it great, okay, how can you improve on it next time? And then
100.
And then, like you said, after you do one opportunity, another door opens. Like, it's really cool the way that sort of thing of just saying yes and and sometimes I just say fuck it, where you just say fuck it, I'm gonna do it, and then you just go 1, 2, 3, and you go and do it. Yeah, like it leads to some of the best places. Hey?
Yeah. Look, I'm quite happy to make a fool of myself, you know. So if I go out there and make a fool out of myself, it's whatever, laugh it off, dust it off. Let's try again and make a fool of ourselves again, probably. But like I think it's like we're both creatives, but we're both Aboriginal people too. And no, you're highly creative. And I think our people are actually like, we're really passionate people, you know, like, and we go with what feels good for us, like what feels good here, you know, what feels good here, like, and I think as a creative that works like really well with like our culture, like, and our people sort of thing. So, you know, like as I've sort of like walked through the industry, and look, it's been a long journey, you know, 20 years is a long time to like do anything for. It's not always gone right, but I've always just gone with like, this actually feels really good. This feels like where I'm supposed to be. This is what I can give out of it. This is what I can take out of it, you know, and that all comes back to, you know, like what my father, my uncles, my aunties, you know, all of that have like taught me beforehand. Like it was, you know, going with that gut feeling, going with that instinct. You know, we innately have that, like as Aboriginal people. So it's just it's trusting that like along the way and along the process as well. And I don't know if that makes a lot of sense to you, because I feel like I'm talking shit right now.
No, it does. No, seriously, it does. You was on a roll there. That's why I went quiet, because I vibe heavily with that gut feeling, and you kind of and then it's like, but you learn off that too. So the times that, like, I know I've learned off the times where I haven't trusted my gut, and like on paper it says this is a great opportunity and you should do this and blah blah blah, and you just have that gut feeling like, I probably shouldn't do this. I don't feel like it's gonna. I don't feel that connection with whatever the project is, whatever the task is or whatever. But then you do it anyway, and then afterwards you're just like, I should have listened. So you got to make those sort of mistakes in order to go with it. So I'm definitely big on following your heart and following your gut, because then you can put that into it. That's what goes into your work, is your heart, your gut feeling, and then your mind just comes along with it. Yeah. So if your heart's not in something, you're not gonna go all out. You're only gonna be half-assed with it. It's like going for a run. Like, you know what I mean? Like if your heart's telling you to go for a run, you know, you'll freaking run however many kilometers you want. But if your heart's not in it and you're forcing yourself to go for a run, just getting out there, doing it and going home, that's probably the most you're going to get out of it today. Like,
well, I'm always forcing myself to go for a run. My heart never tells me to go for a run.
Hey, let's not go into that. Like.
Like I get you. And I think that's what makes us creatives as well. Like, and I know when I'm talking to another creative is because like, it does not make any sense whatsoever at first, like while we're in the conversation, and then all of a sudden it makes sense. You know? Like,
No, it made sense. I was right there with you. Now we talk, and once again, on the theme of, I'll come back to that. I think that's going to tie in with my outro. See how my creative brain's thinking? We're on a roll here. So when we talk about being first and stuff. So you created the first Miss NAIDOC Perth. Over here, and then we've seen that develop. You know, I've had so many family members is able to, you know, go through that, even with, you know, when we look back at how I like looking back on how hairstyles were you know, in the late 2010s, you've got the big fringe, or you've got it at the back, and then you look at some of the photos of the boys, they've got the metro hair, so it's like spiky at the back and slick at the front, leather jacket, Skux Deluxe. But when you started Miss NAIDOC, what was the intent there? What was the intent behind it? And we've seen that grow to a new level, and we'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, Miss NAIDOC Perth was something. Well, Miss NAIDOC was something that like was around in the 80s sort of thing. It was sort of sat at the back of, you know, the NAIDOC ball, and they would have like the ladies come out, sort of like a belle of the ball sort of thing, and they would crown someone Miss NAIDOC for that year. And after I did Top Model and Miss Universe, Auntie Glenda came to me, and she's an amazing spokesperson and advocate for Aboriginal people, and has been a part of NAIDOC. Well, she's been a NAIDOC Perth chairperson for almost 30 years or something like that. You know, like without her, NAIDOC would not exist in Perth. And she came to me and said she wanted to revive Miss NAIDOC, and I said, well, I'm more than happy to be a part of that, but it has to mean something.
Yeah.
Because for me, I went into the industry blindly, naively, had no idea what I was doing, and easily got lost in like this huge machine. So I didn't want to be putting our women out there without, you know, holding their hand along the way a little bit and giving them some insight and being able to sort of like mentor them through like what it would be before releasing them sort of like into that. So it was originally, you know, like, okay, all these girls want to be models, like let's put them through Miss NAIDOC and allow the opportunity for them to get into the industry with a bit of knowledge.
Yeah. Because a lot about the Miss NAIDOC is not so much what goes on during, it's so far from, like you said, being a pageant. It's nurturing like how, you know, they're doing stuff in the community. They're doing workshops on their own development, not just, like you said, not just in the modeling side, but in their own personal development and as well. So it's so much more than that. Of what you've kind of brought into it than what's expected, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, like one thing that I think I'm really good at is I'm really good at like writing programs and putting together, you know, programs that empower Aboriginal women in particular. And when we put together Miss NAIDOC, I had the idea of it being like, you know, a stepping stone into the fashion industry. What had happened though was the women that came and were a part of the program, they told me what they wanted out of the program. And I guess at that time I was smart enough to listen, you know, for the first time in my life. I don't listen to a whole lot of people, but I sat and I listened to those girls and I realised that it wasn't about the industry for them. It wasn't about making modelling a career for them. It was about being a part of something and creating a sisterhood and creating a platform for the women that were coming after them to be able to talk about like what was important to them, for them in their lives at that time and within their communities. And when I started, I was about the same age as the women that were coming through the program. So for me, it was a great learning experience as well, you know, like I got to create a whole sisterhood out of that, and I got to grow with them. And with that, the program started to grow, and each year it sort of evolved into, well, you know what, I don't necessarily need to stand here and tell you how you need to be as an Aboriginal woman and what you need to do in your family or in your community. Let's facilitate a space where Aboriginal women can come and talk to each other and, you know, have a conversation in a place where they don't need to be afraid of, you know, what their thoughts are or you know, being afraid of to saying something and then being called out on it. We were sitting there in a space where we could challenge each other and still come to the realisation that we actually wanted the same thing. And that was just to make our communities better, you know, and a better future for like those coming after us. As women, you know, we're all about our families, you know. Miss NAIDOC, you know, it's about 15 years old now, and it has changed and it's grown every year. When I first started, I was a peer mentor. I was sitting across from my peers. Now I'm older than everybody, and I've realised that it's also time to like hand the baton on and still be a part of Miss NAIDOC and still direct the program and still be a part of the facilitation. But what worked best during that time was that I was a peer. So it's working with like our young people and finding a peer for them to sit and facilitate like those workshops with them and talk about leadership, talk about empowerment, talk about, you know, like what's important to them for a modern day Aboriginal person or a modern day Aboriginal woman. So we're working like with the working group now, like there's an exchange of mentors through that, and through that we get different perspectives. You know, we've got women that are a part of our working group that are in the education system. There are some that are in community and social services, and they're there to support. There are women that are lawyers and nurses and doctors and, you know, corporates, you know, and they're all a part like of the Miss NAIDOC program, and they all have something of value like to add to that. So it's not about, I get given a whole lot of credit for Miss NAIDOC, but I've like, this program is really something that the women of our community have created, and I like it. I would like it for it to stay.
Yeah, definitely
that way, because that the parts keep moving and times keep changing.
Yep.
So I want the program to be able to flow with that and and move with that. But look, it's done so well over the last 15 years that in the last couple of years, the community's called out for Mr. NAIDOC.
Yeah.
So we've had some boys a part of it now, which is like really cool.
Yeah.
So, and obviously as women, like I can't stand there and facilitate a program for the men. Like culturally, that's not appropriate. But we have some amazing men that have come on and have started to develop and grow the Mr. NAIDOC program. So we've given them the bones and the structure of our program and like how that works. And we help them organise that. But the men facilitate Mr. NAIDOC, and they do their own cultural day. They have their own workshops. They work together and they talk about what's important to men within the community. And then they come together with the women at different times and do workshops together, and you know, like, and talk to each other, and they get the opportunity to learn about each other and that as well. So you know, there's a few drooping for each other. Throughout the program, like always.
Always is. But it's awesome. It's awesome to see. So I was at the one last year, and it was awesome to see like people that you know. You know, not only strut their stuff on the catwalk and then everyone starts cheering for them or whistling, and you know, you see the bubbly feeling that they get, the drooping feeling that they get of, you know, not only their mob and their jerps making noise for them as well, but then you go and you've got the video reflection, and you've got some video footage of the workshops that they're doing, and just the overall pride that you see around them and around them being on that platform is something that's unprecedented, and something that can go, like, it can go so much further, and there's so much things you could do. Like, even like while you were talking, I was even thinking like it'll be cool to see Miss NAIDOC be like an Australia's Next Top Model type show where everyone's kind of voting and going around. Like, there's so many opportunities and stuff there that, you know, I feel like it's only just getting started. Yeah, especially even with the boys as well. Like, it's how it's coming along. Like, it's just getting started. Yeah, I mean, there's always buzz about it every year when it comes around as well. Yeah.
It's like, look, it's become like a big part of the NAIDOC Perth calendar. I would really love to see it like on a national level. Other states are calling out for it. Like, it's just like anything, it's finding funding, you know, it's finding someone to back
this program.
Because like these programs are really important, and they are really special, and they are making a difference like within the community, you know, like these young women that have come through Miss NAIDOC like over the years, you know, they put that on their resumes. They go out to schools, they tell their kids about it, you know, like, and now there's like a new generation like coming through of women that, you know, their mums were Miss NAIDOC once, you know, and they're coming through, and they want, and their mum's going, yeah, do it. It's like, it's so much fun. It was the best experience I've had. I've got all these sisters out of it now, and you know, and I will say, like, my proudest achievement, like, out of Miss NAIDOC is the fact that everyone keeps coming back. So our entire working group is made up of people that have been a part of the Miss NAIDOC program.
Even the ones you can't get rid of.
And can't get rid of them. They're still hanging around, you know, like, and they just keep coming back. And I think that, like, speaks volumes, like, to a program. If someone wants to keep coming back and keep being a part of what you're doing.
That's what it is.
Yeah, you know you've done something right. So I know we're doing something right with that program, and I'll continue to work on it, and I hope that, you know, at some point I get the opportunity to take it into other states. And obviously, like, I'm a Whadjuk woman working on Whadjuk country, so for me it's really easy here in Perth. but to push it into other states and to be able to train, women in those communities to be able to facilitate those programs themselves for their own women would be really, really important. And like I'm really, I'm a strong believer in empowering the entire community, not just walking in as a stranger and trying to do it myself. So I hope that we'll see the program expand beyond WA soon. There's a hunger out there for it. We've just got to find the right people to
definitely
support it.
Definitely, and I think that's something like a lot of Australia can really get behind and back, not only with the right funding, but like we said before, people with the right heart and the right gut feeling to go into that sort of program is just gonna elevate it. And it's just it's something that's gonna be huge. And I'm actually getting excited now just thinking about what the possibilities and the level that it can be taken to.
Yeah.
And, I don't know about you, but I'm really excited to see
Yeah, well,
that.
You're going to be Mr. NAIDOC in 2025, aren't you?
Look, let's just say, let's just say I don't know. I'm not, I've seen some of the guys there.
Yeah, I don't know if you're up to standard.
I don't know if I can measure up to them.
Yeah.
I mean, we are the best looking podcast around, like the Kiya Podcast. Well, look, this was meant to be audio, and the audience said we need video.
Video,
so,
yeah.
I don't know if that's because Sonny came on board or what. But I don't know. Maybe they just wanted to see his tattoos everywhere. But no, like when I'm talking to you, and as we're going through everything, I've found that you're an elevator. You're not just a pioneer. You're not just a businesswoman, like you said, not just a model, but you're an elevator and when I say elevator, I mean that in all aspects of the word. You elevate every room that you walk into. You walk into Australia's Next Top Model, and you elevate the household in not only in culture, but also you're a sponge, like we talked about. You went in there with not that much knowledge, but you was a cup. And you was able to fill your cup up. You was able to sponge, all of those attributes, all of that knowledge, all of that opportunity, like we talked about. We spoke about the business side of stuff, going into different workshops. We spoke about Miss NAIDOC and how you was able to elevate that, and then elevate people's careers, people's modeling, people's personalities. Got them in tune with their parents who their mum who's been on Miss NAIDOC, and then elevate, without even realizing you've elevated that connection as well between them. Yeah. So everywhere you go, you seem to be elevating people, elevating opportunities, and that's something that this podcast is all about. And that's something that I think a lot of, not only like when we talk about, like we said before, not only Indigenous women, but a lot of women, a lot of men, a lot of people can really take a leaf out of your book when it comes to taking that leap of faith, when it comes to saying yes to things, and then figuring out afterwards, all right, how do I elevate that?
Yeah.
And you're someone, through Miss NAIDOC. I know I'm going on here, but I'm it's all coming out. So through Miss NAIDOC, you've got Kirrkin as well. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah.
You've got Kirrkin as well, where you can elevate those models to model for Kirrkin and the amazing designs that come up there. And that's something I want to give you your flowers on today. I not only want to thank you for sharing your story here on the Kiya Podcast, but I want to make sure that you walk away from here knowing that you're a pioneer and an elevator for us models.
Oh,
so thank you for that.
Thank you. Make me feel deadly.
No, that's wicked. It's wicked. I think more people should really get in tune with saying yes to things. Some, like you said, some of the most amazing things, opportunities in life, go with just that taking that leap of faith and saying, you know what, I've never done this before.
Yeah.
I've never imagined doing this before, but I'm gonna do it. And then afterwards, you're just like, it's like euphoria. Like it's just that euphoric feeling of, holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, even my phone's going, oh shit. But, but yeah. So thank you for not only coming on the show, but through every aspect of your life, taking that leap of faith.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I hope you got something out of all of that.
Oh, definitely did. But so what? I think we'll finish it off with what's coming next for you. What can people look out for? Where can people find any of your content or anything like that?
Yeah, no, right now, like, I'm working for an amazing brand, Kirrkin Australia. Kirrkin is about 10 years old now, actually. So it's one of the longest standing Indigenous owned and operated fashion labels in Australia. And we work as a social enterprise. So basically we work with Indigenous artists from all over Australia and put their works onto a new platform or a new canvas in fabrics and textiles, and we turn that into beautiful fashion pieces and luxury fashion pieces as well. We're on it's on cashmere and silk and, you know, beautiful textiles like that, and we sell that product all over the world. And that's about, you know, being able to tell our story through that platform. You know, wearing a beautiful top or a beautiful scarf, you know, is a real easy way to start a conversation with people. And when you can talk about the artwork and what the story is and what that means, it enables us to, you know, share our culture and our stories and our histories. And basically, like, Kirrkin's been doing that for 10 years, like, on an international level. So amazing business there in that. But it's also allowed us to work with different international markets around the world. And basically I have the coolest job in the world now, where I get to be an ambassador for not only Australia, but Indigenous Australia and Indigenous creatives all over our country as well, and help build pathways into international trade. So I'm on my way to the Middle East sometime really soon, who are really interested in our culture and our products and things like that. So I'll go over and talk about our creative businesses, but also, you know, create a space for other Indigenous businesses to be able to, like, move into markets like that and sell their products. I've got to say, in Australia, like, Indigenous businesses have grown, you know, like 200-300%, like in the last, I don't know however long, like, in the last few years, and we are really, like, taking over, you know, and people are really wanting to work with our mob, whether you're in, like, resources or like the creative industries, or, you know, in in food and beverages, even, like, that's a huge one.
So many food trucks
as well.
now.
Yeah, like, it's amazing to see how many mob are out there, like, doing it for themselves. And I think my biggest point through all of that and the work that I'm doing now, in, like, yes, I'm looking for pathways into international trade for these businesses, but, you know, as Aboriginal people and Aboriginal people in business, we're always looking to support, like, our communities, like, through what we're doing. And I say, if you can get to that point, like, and you're able to give back to your community, absolutely 100% do that. But I'm also a big believer that you, as an Aboriginal person running a business and doing well for yourself and providing for your family, is actually doing something wonderful for your community. Creating generational wealth is where we can, like, where we should actually be starting as Aboriginal people. We should be focusing on that, focusing on our own families, and making sure that for generations to come, like, our children, our grandchildren are going to have a step up in this world. They're going to have a head start because we're creating it for them. So when I stand and I talk about Indigenous businesses, like, around the world, you know, I talk to them about, it's not only about just trying to support your community, our communities, like, it starts at our own tables, and from, you know, like, years past and the things that have gone on for Aboriginal people, our own tables are actually the most important and should be our priority. So instead of looking outward sometimes in what we should be doing for everybody, like, let's start here first, you know, and you too, you know, like, with your business here and what you're doing, and creating a platform for, like, people like myself to come and, like, share our stories, you know, like, that's, you know, that's you're doing it here, man. Like, you're actually doing it here, and generations to come, like, in your own family are going to benefit from that, and that will just trickle out, like, into the community. So
that's the plan.
Yeah, so keep pushing.
I will. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. All right, we've got 30 seconds left. So 30 seconds. I need a quick, short workshop. 30 seconds left. Can you elevate my modeling skills? How am I able to pose a little bit better? How am I able? All right. So if we did a quick run sheet, how am I doing it? How should I?
All right, well, we can straighten that nose up a little bit there.
Look, that's just the new nose. That's just the new nose. I'm stuck with that. That's the Phil Wally stack nose.
Hey, it's all about confidence, man. It's all about confidence. And you've got that. You've got that. So I don't think you have any issues.
When it comes to modeling and stuff. I get shame. So,
but you can talk like this here. So why can't you stand there and smile?
So how am I meant to stand? So is it chest out? Is it
chest out, really square, really manly? Like you're almost look down your flat nose at people.
Look down my flat nose.
Your flat nose, yeah.
No. Shannon, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was a pleasure to have you, and I look forward to the next time we can sit down and have a chat.
It's been fun. Thanks.
Thank you.